This is where art and science of being a spiritual human being meet. Anyway, I hope I'm looking a little bit better than in the part 2 series on the root chakra. I obviously was pretty tired back then when I filmed that, but I'm feeling so much better today. And anyway, I'm just very glad you're here with me today as I do the last part on the series of the root chakra. And this particular part is going to be kind of a hands-on portion. So this is some practices. I call them self-care plan practices. They're just suggestions for you to possibly incorporate into your work regarding clearing and balancing of your root chakra. If you haven't listened to the other parts of this, I would recommend you going back to part 1 and part 2, give you some additional background on this. But what I would like to add on to those two as we move forward into this particular video is the fact that some of the things that could again be happening around the root chakra energetically could be things that have to do with our past lives, either as individually and personally, for our ancestral lineage, and or a combination of all the above, including for the collective of mankind. So anyway, the root chakra, whether it's influenced by past life work or past life experience, past life awareness, or it's just from our early childhood, or just our inner child from a psychological perspective. And to learn more about that, I urge you to go out and look at inner child work, possibly work by Carl Jung, a psychologist who's no longer with us, but has some great work out there. And there are many Jungian psychologists, psychiatrists, and analysts out there that also might be of benefit to you. But anyway, take a look at their work. They will give you a little more background on that. But let's just talk about the inner child, for younger child work, which has to do of us when we were young. What affected us, and how did that affect us? And is it still affecting us in our current adult life? The other thing is too, and I don't remember if I mentioned this in the previous videos or not, but there could have been things that are coming through that still need to be worked on. We had a spiritual mission, a spiritual contract to work on those different levels: personal karma, ancestral karma, humankind karma, and it or that affects something or some things that might have occurred or happened for us as a younger child in this lifetime. And finally, these things can also have been affected by the information, the way we were brought up, and how that happened. The reason why I bring this up is because there are clients that I have who have said to me, I don't remember very much of my childhood. I don't remember anything of my childhood. Or I do remember some stuff in my childhood. It was really good. So I don't know why, I would need to possibly do any clearing or balancing here. I had a great childhood. My parents were great. Everybody was great. That is fine and dandy. I totally get it. I totally do. The thing is that there may have been perceptions that we had as a child that may have been real or unreal, but it doesn't matter. It is how we perceived it at the time, and possibly any emotions that were attached with what we perceived at the time that we maybe weren't able to release, we weren't able to deal with, to what would be the other word I would want to say? Assimilate? Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. So there could have been some things that happened when we were nonverbal, so prior to us becoming a verbal being. And or it could have happened when we were in particular situations where either the situation or timing didn't allow us to deal with it or speak up about it or handle it. Something about our environment tried to keep us somewhat in a box from being able to verbalize or work it through. There's all kinds of things. Again, if there's different kind of heavy things that you are aware of or you'd like to become more aware of, please, talk to your primary care provider, therapist, counselor, mental health worker, behavioral health specialist. There's so many people out there that can help you, or someone like me, who comes from the life coaching perspective. So anyway, I'm going to talk about just three ways, okay? Let's not make this so difficult. Let's talk about it from just three perspectives. A couple that will kind of help to work through possibly the nonverbal aspect of ourselves. And then there'll be an overlap of that second one going more towards the verbal. So for the nonverbal, for me in my practice and how I interpret it is that we were either of an age in which we weren't verbal yet, to put words towards certain things that we were handling or dealing with. Or like I said, we were maybe put in situations where you weren't allowed to speak up. You weren't allowed to work that through. Other things can be so catastrophic or traumatic for us that we do not have words for those emotions, words for what happened to us, good, bad, or indifferent. I can remember back when I first became a nurse, we were studying stressors. And we were given a list of 25 stresses that people can affect people. And you know what was amazing about that list of 25? Not everything was bad. There were things that we might look at as very good in our lives. Getting married, buying a new house, having a baby. These could be positive things for people, but it doesn't mean that they didn't cause some kind of stress. And not all stresses are bad for us. Stress at some point helps us to become resilient human beings. They help our body, mind, and spirit to start working on overcoming that fight or flight feeling in us. And help us maybe not to happen so often, maybe feel less stressful on our body. But not all stresses are bad. But that doesn't mean anything either in some cases. Again, at our level of which they happen, how did we perceive it? And we may never know how we perceived it. And as I mentioned before, things could have happened in what I call a nanosecond, in which how we perceive that situation, good, bad, or indifferent, embedded some sort of a feeling in us that maybe we weren't able to express and therefore release. So anyway, the first activity that you could do I would suggest is adult coloring books. Many people that I've worked with, whether it's been as an artist or it's been in my life coaching practice, will say, I got an F in kindergarten for, I couldn't color within the lines. I couldn't draw a stick figure. No one knew what I was drawing anyway, so I stopped doing that, okay? That's why I think adult coloring books would be very beneficial. And I think that starting out with mandalas, a mandala adult coloring book would be very beneficial for you if you're going to do this. And I would do it in a guided way. I would maybe just sit and reflect. I call it reflect. Other people would call it meditate. The reason why I don't use meditate anymore is because most of my clients go, I don't know how to meditate. I don't think I'm meditating right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, everybody can meditate. It's just reflecting. It's just about becoming quiet enough to reflect on something, put focus to something. That focus could be a question. That focus could be on an emotion. That focus could be on a person. It could be on a piece of clothing. It could be on the cup of tea sitting next to you, okay? It's about being quiet enough to focus on something so that we can help to not have monkey brain, not have what I call the rock tumbler going on, where we're just rolling all kinds of things around in our head that our brain can't, our mind cannot focus on something, which is how it works. It needs to focus on something. Not to say we can't multitask, we can, but just that that's kind of what meditation is. So I call it reflecting. So you might want to sit there and just reflect. Maybe you want to just reflect on the first 10 years of your life to start with. Is there anything I remember? Are there any feelings that come up? Nothing still comes up? Can I remember my favorite food? Can I remember my favorite TV program? Can I remember my favorite blankie? It doesn't matter. Try to get down to something, one thing, right? And then you can think about, okay, let's just go back to the blankie. What was my favorite blankie? What color was it? Why was it my favorite? Do I remember that? Of why it was favorite? Did anybody tell me why it was favorite? Did anybody tell me about my blankie? So there might have been certain colors that were there. Maybe there was a certain feeling or a texture, right? I just remember it was so soft. Or I remember holding it in my hand while I sucked on a finger, And so let's just go with that, right? The word soft. What colors would I use to express softness? That's how simple it could be. So you can work through the mandala coloring book. Just look through and see which mandala speaks to you. You start working with maybe that about what color would I color, what colors would I color, or what color would I use to express softness. Your colors for softness might be very different than mine. And we could have somebody with an art therapy background who might interpret that artwork, or a psychologist or a psychiatrist that might interpret that artwork. That's fine too, fine and dandy. But you may use the color red to express passion, livelihood. Someone else might use the color red to be anger, okay? It's what is it meaning for you? And so anyway, start with that first. Start with a mandala coloring book. Go get your favorite crayons, markers, colored pencils. I love gel pens, and the more glittery they are, the bolder they are, the most I like them. But you might be somebody who likes colored pencils. Maybe all you have is pen or pencils in your house. Start with black, white, and gray. Just start. Okay, it will make a difference. If at any time you come across emotions that you don't feel you can handle, or they're overwhelming you, please don't deal with them alone. If you feel you need to talk to somebody, like I mentioned before, talk with your therapist, your PCP. If you feel like at any time emotions are such that you feel like you want to hurt yourself or hurt someone else, then you call a 911 number, or if you can't get a hold of somebody, okay? Please don't work on this by yourself. You're a really important person. You're here, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're bad, then we need to work on that, right? To help to get to a good place. Everyone came into the world as a good person. So don't beat yourself up too badly unless there are definite things going on in which you definitely need additional help on. The majority of people are dealing with emotions and feelings that they can handle. Yes, it might be a little bit stressful. Yes, it might stretch you a little bit as to how you can handle it. But the majority of people, the majority of you watching it can. Okay, but don't disregard if there's anything else going on which requires you to have healthy support, okay, in some way. The second thing that you could do is collaging. And so I suggest for that, and this is the one that can be nonverbal, so we're just basically looking at images. We may look at words, which helps us to swing over to that little more verbal part, but it could be all images. It could be all images of something red. Okay, I don't know why I'm using red. I think it's because of the red button for my videotaping on my iPhone. But anyway, I seem to be really on red. So anyway, you can do just a collage all on things that are red. It could be that simple. Okay, so anyway, our spiritual side of us, our nonverbal side of us speaks mostly in images. That's why for some people dreams are hard probably to interpret. It's all images. Why doesn't it just tell me what it wants to tell me in words, right? That's the verbal side. So this particular practice of doing collages kind of pulls these two things together. So I suggest going, if you don't have them in your house already, if you do, dig through those first, or dig through a family member's first who seems to have a ton load of them. Go to your local thrift store or somewhere where you can just rummage through 5 or 6 different types of magazines. Have them be different. They're speaking to different aspects of you. It could be different aspects of you as a child. It could be your 5-year-old. It could be your 8-year-old. It could be your 15 or 16-year-old. It could be your adult. Okay. It also could be those aspects of yourself that have to do with doing, not just being. Right. The age is being, doing. So maybe you're a gardener, and so you're attracted to gardening magazines. Maybe you love to decorate your home or your office, or decorate somebody else's. But anyway, maybe architectural magazines or decorating magazines speak to you. Maybe you love to eat. Maybe you love to cook. Maybe you just love to get with the gardening, prepare foods from what you make in the garden. So pick up something that has to do with foods, gardening, decorating, architectural, digest or something. I don't get paid for this. Architectural digest or something like that. Maybe there's a part in you that loves gossip magazines. Grab a gossip magazine. All right, so just pick up what kind of speaks to you, 5 or 6 of these. You want to do this part kind of quickly. So the things you're going to want to gather for this are these magazines. You're going to want some form of paper to glue down images with a glue stick. Glitter glue, I love. I already told you I love glitter. So glitter glue or something like that, or just Elmer's glue of some sort. It doesn't matter. Even if you have 2-sided tape, that way you want to play around with 2-sided tape, okay? And then you want some kind of paper to put this collage onto, these images onto. I suggest it being large enough to create something meaningful to you, all right? I'm not talking about that you may end up framing this, okay? But what I mean by meaningful is, if the paper is too small, you might fill it up way too fast. If the paper's too big, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I've got to spend hours on this, filling this up, okay? First of all, you don't have to fill it up, but if you can and you do, it might be helpful. So I say somewhere between and it can be 2 pages spread out that make this something like, 9 by 12, 11 by 14, 10 by 14, I wouldn't go up to a 12 by 18. I wouldn't go up to a 16 by 20, way too big. But these other sizes, like I said, I think are a meaningful size for you to be able to get something out onto that paper through your images that you're going to collage on it. You're probably going to want to spend anywhere between an hour and maybe 2 hours on this project. The first 30 minutes are where you want to go through these magazines and flip through it, and whatever pops out at you. You can decide ahead of time, because you're going to only use 30 minutes. Maybe it's going to be on foods today. I'm going to just go through here and see what speaks to me when I was younger. Or I just want to let this speak to me about food. I don't care which magazine I'm looking through. Okay, that's the other thing. You want to look through all those magazines. But maybe you have set it up. I want to look through foods. I want to look for, I love the color green. I want to look for everything that's the color green. I want to set up my favorite bedroom. If I was a 12-year-old boy, what would I wanted my bedroom to look like? If I was a 16-year-old girl, if I was a 5-year-old, it doesn't matter. You can just set these up as, people call them sparks, whatever, however you want to put it. But anyway, it helps again to focus on something if you're feeling unfocused. Okay? Or you can just leave it open. For this 30 minutes, I'm just going to go through all these magazines, and whatever speaks to me, I don't care what the images are. In the end, I don't care what they are. So you take 30 minutes, you see something on a page that speaks to you, rip out that whole page, put it over in a pile. Don't sit there looking through it some more. Don't start reading the article that goes along with it. Just something pops out at you, rip out that page, go on to the next one, and keep going through those magazines. Again, you want to just go as fast as you can. And the reason why is at this particular point, you don't want your logical, rational, linear mind to start creating something yet. We're not there yet. This is the rehearsal. Right? This is us grabbing together the props for the play that we're going to play out, so to speak, on our piece of paper. We don't know what the play is. We don't even know what the play is. We don't know what the script is. We don't know where we're going to be doing it yet. So think of this like a rehearsal, or think of this like putting together a recipe. I don't care whether it's going to be, cake, or whether it's going to be the guy's making the steak or the girl's making the steak, or the hamburgers on the grill. Until you have all your ingredients together to make the recipe, you cannot make the recipe. Okay, I hope that helped to bring this together. But you want to, you only have a certain amount of time, got to get all these ingredients together because I got to make that, recipe. So take 30 minutes, go through those pages. You can even set a timer. At the end of 30 minutes, if you didn't get through all the magazines, so you didn't get through all the magazines. At the end of that 30 minutes, go back through the pile of the things that drew your attention. This is where, sorry, forgot to tell you, you might either want to rip or get a pair of scissors, and you cut out those images, you cut out those things of color, even if it's just solid color, or words. Okay, remember I said that this is going to affect just imagery, images telling us a story, images coming into our recipe, and our words. And then open up your piece of paper or your journal that you're going to go across 2 pages on, and depending on whether it's free-for-all or whether you had an intention of, I want to put all my favorite outfits that I picked out of that, or something that goes along with clothing or a closet, or capsule wardrobe or whatever for you women out there. And then just start cutting these out or tearing out those things and start laying them out on the paper. As you get all your images and you've put them out there, then look at it and see if you want to rearrange it. Don't judge it. Get all of that stuff that you had, whatever you didn't use, you didn't cut off, put off to the side. You'll use that at another time in some other exercise or some other rehearsal. But for this one, just sit there, look at these things, move them around as you want to move them around, glue them down. If you want to, at the end of that, see if anything does come out. Does it say something to you? Does it give you a title or a message for that piece? Write it on the back, date it. Does it just say to you, hey, wow, I'm amazed at how many bohemian outfits I found on here. How many bohemian looking things that I have there. Oh, I loved, here I am wearing it, something like that. I loved peasant outfits back there. I love peasant blouses. Why aren't I wearing any peasant blouses anymore? I really love them. I love them. I still love them. So you might want to think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I will look for a peasant blouse. I'll go to a resale shop if I have to. At the very least, if something is affecting that you can't move forward, it's not safe, you can't afford it, your health doesn't allow it. Let's say it's a particular food. I always use macaroni and cheese as this example. If any of my family members watch this, they're going to understand what I'm saying. But maybe macaroni and cheese is no longer on your diet for some reason, okay? If you can get as close to making that macaroni and cheese, putting it in a bowl or a plate, putting it on a fork or a spoon and looking at it, the better. If you can get it in your mouth, because you can handle macaroni and cheese at this time in your life or that particular recipe, because some of us understand what's in some of those recipes, then if you can eat it, that's even better. But if any other reasons keep you from eating, at the very least, you can close your eyes and just say, I heard you. Okay? That's as simple as it can be. So anyway, that kind of can help you. You can do this many times because you realize that there's more stuff that you want to have come out of you. Maybe you only got through 2 or 3 magazines and you want to get through the rest. Do another collage on another day or at another time. And then finally, the third one is definitely on the verbal side, and that is to actually write in a journal. And so again, I recommend for my clients to write in a journal. Again, do the same things that I was saying about collage. You can leave it free form. You can ask a question. You can say, what emotions am I feeling right now? Because if there's some emotions that you may be feeling right now, they may be some of that younger child, inner child work that is needing to be released, is surfacing itself to be released. And so you may want to do, and I usually encourage my clients to do that decade thing. So each week, just work on one decade. So this should take about a month, depending on how old you are, to different age groups of clients that I work with, but mostly in their 20s on up. So do it per decade and just see what comes out. Again, don't judge. If nothing comes out, I don't care how many questions you ask yourself and you just can't get through it, fine and dandy. It's the same though as in the other work. If any emotions come up that you really can't handle, or you feel like hurting yourself or others or doing something destructive to yourself or others, please call a professional for help. But if it's just like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, yep, I didn't really want to think about that, but yep, there it is. That's a little bit of a different story. Those are things that you can work on by yourself probably, or with the help of a coach, or again with a healthcare professional. Do the same kinds of things. Like I said, you can ask yourself questions. You can do, what do I remember? What were my favorites? What were my unfavorites? What were my dislikes? What did I want to express myself about but never felt like I'd heard? You can even write the situations. I was talking in front of my mom and I wanted to tell her about something that was really affecting me. I realized that happened when I was like, 13 years old. I really needed to tell my mom something. I'm standing in front of her and her eyes are rolling, or she seems disinterested, and you write this story, okay? That was our possible perception at the time. Rolling her eyes, didn't seem disinterested, and it could have been real. But it also could have been, all of a sudden, as we're talking to her at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon after school or whatever, she's realizing she's got a family of I don't know how many to feed, and she didn't take anything anything in the freezer for dinner tonight. So you saw that thought cross her mind, but you may have perceived it as she doesn't care about what I'm saying. She doesn't see it as important, and then therefore she doesn't care about me. You see how that kind of rolls along, and then therefore we get to a point where we don't maybe speak up in our lives, feel no one's going to consider what we have to say to be important, no matter how important it is to us. We have feelings that might be embedded with that, disappointment, anger, other kinds of things that might have gone along with that too. So again, these are just suggestions. After you've written all of the information, and it might take a whole week, if you need to go into another week, do another week. Don't move on to the next decade until you feel like I've exhausted what I think I can write about that. At the end of writing all that information, then go back and read what you wrote. And what I have found in that work is to see if there's particular words, particular phrases, write notes off to the side, make separate notes of things that you noticed are either threads, same types of situations that kept, kind of like weaving itself through your decades. And again, don't be disappointed in any of this work if you feel like the types of things aren't coming up that you were hoping would come up. Because just by doing this work, you've put them out into the light. And in light comes awareness. Whether it's now, by the end of our life, into another lifetime, at least we're shedding a light on something that is going to help us to start being aware. I have found it's been very fascinating that with my clients, even when we just talk about certain things that come up during the Reiki session, the next time I go to do a certain aspect of my Reiki with that client, I can already feel and tell that their energy has shifted and changed. And what's interesting is some of my clients even notice it. So if, let's say, we're noticing energy is not getting through the heart chakra, let's just say, for example, even though I know we're talking about the root chakra work here, doesn't seem to be energetically coming up through the heart chakra at a force that shows me that it's open and it's not clogged or blocked. A client might start sharing with me about having anger, feeling like they get into the same kind of partnership, love relationships that aren't serving them. And we just talk about that just briefly. We're not going deep on anything there, just briefly. If I have them do another deep, full breath and have them exhale, there are times where either myself and or my client feel a shift at that heart chakra, that the energy has moved through. And that is just from talking, having an awareness that something may be going on around that particular chakra that has caused some energetic blockages, stuckness, slowness, whatever. So anyway, I wish you the best in all of this work. And don't forget to reach out for additional help from anybody that you feel can help you. If you would ever like to work with me as a life coach or as a Reiki practitioner, information regarding how to get a hold of me is down in the description below. And we always welcome having you subscribe, hit the bell to hear from us next. We usually do try to put something out once a week. We're 1 week behind this time because of some personal things that were going on in my family, but we're all on the upward slope with that, and I'm very excited about that too. Also, just TMI here. I will be not available and out of town from August 8th through August 18th of 25. So in the next week or so for a very exciting trip to Iceland. I hope to bring back some additional insights and information for all my work moving forward. And I will be working probably this coming week before I do head out to Iceland on the next chakra, which will be the sacral chakra, the color orange, and having to do with creativity. Thank you so much again for joining me today. I hope this was helpful, and don't forget to look back at root chakra part 1 and part 2 for additional support on this. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.